And we are live. Okay, so live crypto trading session. Where do we start? I think let's just see where we are with the latest screener. So 3 p.m. my time, we got Quant QNT. Let's go and take a look at what Quant is doing. Now for us, what we always want to do is just sense check. Do I have Quant in the list? I don't think I do. Alright, let's see. QNT. There you go. Alright, let's have that on. Let's get the symbol there. Okay, wow. Tanking to the eye. To the bottom. Okay, great. This could be an interesting one. I don't really know if I want to fade this though. Let me just check. So let's go, let's start with the daily, right? It's not a mass amount of traded volume. When did this last, well, only came on the exchange in March. Okay, let's start with our swings. Let's see what the swing looks like. So the daily swing range is here. Just gonna lower that a little bit. Okay. So there's the swing range on the daily. So right now we are in nice discounted area if, of course, we want to think about longing this particular token. What about the 4 hour? Obviously it's oversold, so could be an interesting opportunity, but let's just do some further TA. So the swing on the 4 hour, again, we are certainly in a discounted area. So at least on the higher time frames, it's looking like a potential, but it's a weak low. And that will be, I think it's a strong low. Let me just double check. That's also a weak low. Weak because, you know, we have continued to move down. But I would maybe argue that, you know, we are starting to look. If this would have, well, it did actually break it. So theoretically, that's not quite. It's an internal strong low. This, in my opinion, because we printed the high there, and we're not quite technically broken that yet. So let's continue. What about the 2 hour? What's that look like? Let's see. Again, we are in discount. So at least on the daily 4 hour and the 2 hour, we're on pretty discounted prices right now, right? So what about the 1 hour swing? It's relatively the same as the 2 hour, so we're not going to bother with that. What about the 30 minute? 30 minute is again in a high discounted area. Let's just check that. Where's that weak? Yeah, there's the weak low there. Okay. May have already missed this opportunity, to be fair. And on the 15, we're looking at here. Let me just do that. So it's like, in all of these opportunities currently, we're in that discounted phase, right? You know, you can see right from the daily through to the 15 minute prices that are, you know, this is typically what I like to look at. You know, this is the red zone on the daily, this huge red zone area from the 4 hour right down to the 2, 1 hour, 30 minutes and the 15 minutes. And so you'd argue, is this an area or a zone you would, you know, like to long from? The answer is possibly, but of course what we need to do now is factor in some supply areas, right? So where are the supply areas? Let's see. I'm just going to remove these from the chart. Okay, so I'm just going to take that off a little second. Actually, let's look at the session volume. You see, with the session volume, you always want to look for when are you outside of that value area. So right now we are outside the value area, right? So this is where the majority of liquidity is being traded. But right now, down the bottom, we're outside of that value area, and so, you know, that's a higher likelihood and a better value for us to start longing from. Like, we don't really want to start longing from the value area lower, or even shorting from the value area high, because that's how a lot of people will use them, right? They use this system as a support and resistance rather than a value. Okay, so that's another interesting thing. So what about supply? Well, to help us with this, we really could do with looking at what's going on with tick volume, right? So what are we on at the moment? 15 minutes. Let's go to the 1 hour. Let's see what that looks like. Where did we get some big volume to the upside? Got some high volume here. I don't like it. The demand relative is not great, really, is it? The furthest back, where's our price? So there is our price right now, this dotted line here. So I'd be looking, where was price? So theoretically, up here we started to come into some sort of strong push to the upside, but it was quickly rejected and come back down. So we've got to go all the way back to here, right, to where volume last came in to a big move. And so where would be the zone that you'd think would be logical to get in? You'd probably suggest it's going to be here, right? And so quant is an option to trade, but I needed to come into this zone here, right, for me to, you know, contemplate thinking that would be a interesting. Let me just make this, give it an outline, something like that. Okay, actually, you know what, we want to make that green, don't we? So right now it's, the jury's out. It's not super clean. If price comes down to this zone, it's worth the trade, and so we can be really, really tight and concise with our move, because what I would suggest we could do is start to fade the market to the opposite way. So when price comes into here, start to scale the entry, right? Because also you've got your average daily range bottom here. And that's not necessarily mean that we're going to use that as a support, but you know, it's a fairly decent range, isn't it? So let's just think about this. What do I want to do? I want to just put an alert on the chart that'll bring me down and let me know when we are approaching here. Now that might be conservative, right? But what are we looking for? A plus high probability trades, right? We don't want to go with those trades that are just random, yeah. No TA applied, no sense, nothing on that. So let's keep that there. What I'll be looking to do, I won't do this as limit orders. If we target this and we get an alert, I'll be interested in looking at this. I'll be waiting for an alert to come in, and then I'll do 1% here, maybe 2% here, 4% here, and maybe 8%. So that's how I'd probably look to scale in. Stop loss would be very, very tight, somewhere down here. If it breaks that zone, then it's broken that zone, so I'm not really too interested in getting into that. Right, okay, what else have you got? Has anything else come on the screen? Still 2 minutes off yet. So, you know, quant has been moving down, which is why we got two prints on that there. But we're just going to continue to wait. Let's see. Let me go back to the chart a second. Wrong one. Let's go and have a look at what Bitcoin's doing. Obviously, Bitcoin's had a bit of a sell-off as well. Hang on, if I could select Bitcoin. So Bitcoin hasn't really done anything yet. Still in that kind of phase, isn't it? Let me just tidy things up a little bit. Let's move them out the way. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Bitcoin's not really doing anything, which is why right now, you know, any tokens that want to present an opportunity is going to do so with some sort of depegging from Bitcoin, because that's been nearly, well, it's pretty much the full weekend of just that, you know, not really moving too much, is it? Only on the 1 hour time frame. Let's see. We did get some strong volume though here, so we need to see what's going on with that there. 1 minute to go. Let's see if we get any more prints. Let's see. Quite a few actually. So we got DOT, TRX, Theta, ICP, and VeChain. So let's look at DOT. Let's see what DOT's doing, right? So DOT is suggesting we might want to look for longs. Okay. Remember, this is the 15-minute close, right? So let's go back into DOT. See what DOT's doing. Okay, DOT is moving down. Let us remove the drawings because they were old. Let's apply our same market structure analysis. So let's get that off right now. Let's look at where the swings are. Let's go start with the day. There's the daily range. The swing, it's quite a high swing, so you know we can already see we're in the discounted phase, so it's going to favor longs over shorts. However, you've got to remember, more often than not, you want a deep correction, don't you, before you start moving up. And we could, I mean, by the way, nothing's to stop this from dropping down further. All we're looking for is high probabilistic setups. And one of the things you got to understand is when you're doing this analysis on the daily time frame, it's very much swing trading, right? And so if you're looking at swing trades, you might want to wait until price comes down to here, to long, and then you might be waiting, you know, a few weeks, even a month before price may come back into that kind of premium zone to sell. So what's the 4 hour saying? Let's see. Again, in a very nice premium at the moment. Sorry, in a discount rather, my bad. Let's see. So certainly in the shorter time frames, we can potentially we could be thinking about longs, right? But we've got to be mindful of market structure in general. Right now we're still printing lower highs and lower lows, and so the idea is that do we get a break of structure, i.e. a change of character to the above side, which would see we'd want to break here. We'd want to break this zone, then get a little retest. So you'd look to be breaking that zone with a price to come up and do something like this, and then you'd be thinking, okay, potentially we could be seeing the end, let me just say like that, come down here, and then a move like that. That'll be a really nice, something nice to see. So right now it's another watch list job, right? It's something that we can potentially look at, but it's not something I'd be willing to trade until we get a little bit of a change of character. Right now we're not really seeing that. You know, potentially we can still head further down. So let's just leave DOT right there where it is. Let's go back. So what's the next one? TRX. Let's see what TRX has got for us. TRX. Some previous TA on TRX. It's clearly a swing low and swing high. So that's obviously a golden pocket zone, so a nice potential long area here. Let's do our same dynamics. What are we on? Let's do the daily. Okay, this needs to be mechanical, right? 80-90% mechanical with very little discretion. You want this to be tick box exercise each time. Are you in a discounted area? What does market structure look like? You know, are you outside of your volume value area? And is it going in the opposite direction that you want to, fade. So all of these things need to be ticked. But anyway, right now we are in a premium on the daily, so I'm expecting no one's going to be buying at this range just yet. It's probably going to come down here a little bit further. So on the daily, I certainly wouldn't be thinking about any buys at this stage because, well, it's higher than what you'd anticipate. There's no value between its latest swing, right? 4 hour just come into discount, as you can see. You can map that out nicely. Okay, so we're just in that discount area. Clearly and obviously, the major golden pocket is in that 4 hour discounted zone. What about, I'll skip to the 30-minute just because I don't want to go to every time frame. So 30-minute, you can clearly see again, we are in a discounted zone, but market structure is bullish on this one, right? So these are the kind of ones you want to look for. The problem is on the daily, we're in a discount, we're in a premium zone. So I still think I'd be anticipating that this should go down further for more of a deeper retracement. And so this zone here is really where we want to be focusing our efforts, right? So not too much by way of this zone, even though we are in a discounted zone on the 15-minute or the 30-minute. What about the 15-minute? Yeah, well, this is just printing its range right now because we are at that absolute bottom. So it's a weak low. It's saying strong low, but for me it's weak because, right now we're theoretically, as I see market structure, at least on the smaller time frames, we are making a kind of a zigzag pattern. So for me on the 15-minute, I think that's probably a weak low, not a strong low. So each time this keeps moving down, you're going to see that this strong low will eventually go weak once we break this. So it's another one I'd probably not look to trade just yet if we're looking for those A setups. Let's see what's next. Let's go back to Discord. Let's see what else we've got. ICP. Okay, let's have a look at ICP. ICP. Okay, let's go again. Let's take that off. Feel free to drop questions in the chat, by the way, if you need me to address anything. The only one that I like to look at the moment is QNT Quant. For my playlist. So we're clearly on ICP. You know already we are in a nice discounted zone, right? So the idea would be looking for longs, yeah? Okay, so this one might be more interesting to play. So let us go and do our normal thing. So we know on the daily, we've got a nice deep correction into the swing. So we're in a discount. Okay, what about the 4 hour? What's the relative swing on the 4 hour? So what this does, this little analysis piece here, what we're doing is it really allows us to weed out some of the less desirable, or filter out some of the less desirable trades, right? Really, we only want those ones that are, in every sense of the word, majority of the time frames from the higher to the lower time frames, all in that kind of discounted position, right? That's the first thing we want to see. Then we're starting to slip away from the 50 SMA. We're approaching some sort of pivot point, and also we're massively overbought or oversold. So 2 ticks in the box, 4 hour and a daily, both in discount. What about the 2 hour? 2 hour is mimicking the 4 hour because of the swing. 1 hour. Slightly less, but still worth mapping. Again, in that discount range. So this is a very, very probable setup. One that I like to see. Same range, 15-minute. Okay, so all the ranges that I like to see are in discount right now. So for me personally, this is what I kind of want to see, right? So how do we start to look? Where are the good zones to think about a trade? Well, we know we're already in a discounted zone on the daily, so we should anticipate at some point, maybe market structurally, that the market may want to start thinking about longs. However, we're just thinking about a small in and out day trade. So we can see here on the 15-minute we are massively oversold. Let's see where we are on the session profile. Again, we're below the value area low, so another tick in the box. Where are we in relation to supply and demand? So let me just remove some of these off the page a second. Let me just take that off also. Take that off also. Now we just want to focus purely on supply and demand, right? So here we had some nice supply coming into the market. Yeah. Clearly this is where volume also came into the market as well. But the problem is on low volume, actually really, really low volume, we had the initial pump. And we come back in, close that fair value gap, at least 50% of it, and then we continue to move up. So, you know, there's a couple of zones here that I particularly like. This one I probably favor more because the volume really came in there. And so, you know, for me, again, not without trying to sit on the sidelines, but you know, you want to take them, you want to really favor those high probability setups. Now this might be a little bit too far in terms of kind of where we want to look to get in, at least on the 15-minute. But if we go to the 30-minute and let's open up our swing range, you see we can come into here. Yeah, I think we can come into here, soak up some of that liquidity. I'd argue, by the way, you know, all of these are potential reversal spots, right? That's a smaller zone there, but all of them offer us some sort of a, you know, an order block, a supply zone, however you want to call it. But they've all got potential because consolidation for so long, boom to the upside, big wick to the downside. We know buyers have stepped in here with high volume as well. You look at the volume there, because we're on the 30-minute, it's a lot higher than, you know, all of this volume here. So what do we want to do? Again, just put an alert on the chart just to give us something on ICP. I'll probably just put that directly on the zone, right? Because I'm not too fussed. Really, here's where I'd like to get into it more. I'm just gonna let it come into this zone and just see the reaction. See the reaction from the bulls. If it's weak and tame, I probably won't trade that one, just because I don't want to get caught out on anything. Because it could obviously come back down again. Okay, let's look. What else have we got? Let's look at theta. Do I have theta in my list? I probably don't actually. No, it's our theta. Okay. All right. That's just first thing we do. Look left. Okay, we've got activity left. Good. Okay, let's do what we normally do. Let's just do some analysis. Let's see what's going on. So we are in the discounted phase on the higher time frame for sure. Okay, and we're coming back into that phase as well, so I like that. 4 hour massively oversold. That's what I like to see. We've still got plenty of area to get in again. So again, you know, it's right at that 4 hour swing, but it's a weak low. weak low because of this market structure here. Yeah, so we need to really break this for it to make a strong high, a strong low and a weak high. Once we break that, then you've got new market structure. So for now, sometimes I don't put too much effort into the strong and weak levels because I'm not always so sure they're accurate, if I'm honest. If you kind of map out market structure properly, for me that kind of looks like this is a strong low and then it's coming back down, but because we're on the 4 hour, maybe you can classify it as weak. But you know, this is the strong, I guess. Yeah, fair enough, this could be the weak, but you know what I would suggest is I don't think that that's the strong high, because I think we've been, you know, making higher highs, lower highs, higher high, lower high, higher highs, lower high. I guess the only reason this is weak is because we've had a change of character. Change of characters are only really relative on pullbacks, though. They're not so much in the main direction of the trend, so certainly one to watch. But price is obviously continuing to move down, and so you'd maybe start to think, is there potential here for longs, even just on the 4 hour, without us getting into the low ball area. Where's our supply zones? It's not screaming supply zone. Okay, we did have a push, but it wasn't. Well, you could argue that this became a supply zone from this rejected candle here, pushes back up, has another test of the supply zone, another test of the supply zone, and then price does start to come up again. So I think this is probably a supply zone, but I'd do it from there. You can see little wick and then push to the upside. So I could argue that this is probably worth a chance to start trading in this zone. Again, it's at the value area, sorry, the average daily range. And so I'm just taking out my phone because I think this could be a potential for a long. Let's have a look. Just open up MEXC. What are we trading? Data. Futures. I've never traded this token before. Okay, let's just put an alert on the chart. Dead on there. And I'll start to scale down. You know, the thing that's kind of bothering me a little bit is I also think this is a nice supply zone here. You know, all of this is theoretically supply zone. And so if I was going to fade a bigger area, I would reduce considerably my my fade. So let's see. What's the smaller time frames look like on this? Let's see. Let's do the 1 hour. Yeah. I already know we're at a discount on these lower time frames. So we're on a fairly decent discount on all ranges, and again, you know, that's what I like to see. You know, you could argue that actually doesn't that mean everything's bleeding? Yeah, of course it does. But this is that kind of feed and greed, right? Where greed and fear, where you know everyone just thinks it's going to go down to the ground. But you always got to remember, you know, trading is just like an exchange, isn't it? Buy when it's low, sell when it's high. And so when everything's screaming blood on the streets, that's the best time to start buying. What your job is as an analyst is to first confirm with multi-time frame analysis that you are in a zone which is a discount. Number two is then to find where previous support has came in with supply, so where people have started to buy again when prices came down, because remember it does it every time. Ebbs and flows, up and down, trends, goes sideways, trends, drops, whatever. You know, our job is to kind of try to find those areas where we've had previous interest at certain areas. Okay, so I'd be interested in this one as well, so I've got the alert on the chart. Now I'm expecting we've probably got some more. Okay, so there's a shit ton here, right? What am I going to be focusing on? The biggest So I'm looking at wave. We've got 3.47 on the Z wave. Sorry, the Z score, which is how far away are we from the 50 SMA in terms of standard deviation. So waves is one of that is sticking out to me. Theta we know about. That's what we're looking at now. It's also quite high, so that's also on our visibility. But RNDR. So let's take a look at waves, right, real quick. Got our alerts. So waves is actually at equilibrium on the 1 hour. So right at value. You can see here, at least on the 1 hour. On a daily, it's kind of part way through discount, which is good. If we're looking to long, same again on the 4 hour, but in that discounted phase, we've had a nice decent sell off on this 1 4 hour candle. You want me to do VET? VET? Sure, no problem. Let's just see what the server says for VET. So it is 3 standard deviations away from the mean. It's massively oversold, and it's approaching S1. Let's have a look at VE chain. V chain. Okay. Just for you, Grondig. Right, so what are we thinking? Let's start again, like we always do. Daily time frame. Let me get rid of the drawings real quick. So we are currently in a discount. So if you're swing trading, you know, generally perceived as a good area to start buying. However, you've always got to remember the context of the market is, at least, you know, for me anyway, is certainly bearish, right? So where are we? Where's my drawing tools? You know, we've higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low. That's that breaker structure there. Higher low, lower low. Now here's where it gets a little bit interesting, right? So even though, so we've basically been going lower high, sorry, lower low, higher low, lower low, higher low. But then what we've done is this would be a change of character, right? Because we've just broken. However, you want to see that candle closes above, realistically, if I'm being technical. But it's positive signs, right? A nice bullish candle that's come in to show us that potentially this could be some sort of a reversal. But you need to see that breaks, right, before you would get super bullish. But still, we are in that discounted territory. My screen is still on Discord. Oh, what a dipstick. Sorry, mate. Okay. Just looking here, so thanks for letting me know that. So if you're looking purely from market structure, yes, we are in a discounted zone. This is on the daily time frame, right? Here is where you really want to start selling. Here's really where you want to start buying, right? So that's the first point on the daily time frame, the macro outlook, right? But here's what I was saying. So if we take the move, you know, higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low. So we start here, that's a high, that's a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. But then the interesting thing is we come back up and we break this zone. But the problem for me is that we didn't close above it on the daily time frame. We may have done that on the 4 hour, and we'll check that in a second. But still, it's promising for a slight change of character, right? So really the change of character would come in on a daily time frame. Breaker structure is continuation to the downside, right? When the trend is confirmed and we're continuing to move down, that's the breaker structure. When we have a bit of a move or a pullback to the upside, what you're really looking for is, do we break that kind of zone as a change of character? And then what you want to see is a pullback, which we've seen here, then another move to the upside, which is failing to do at the moment. So you've got to be mindful of that. However, on the, at least for me, on the daily time frame, we're in a discounted zone. So now would be if you were swing trading, you'd start thinking about buying, right? What about the 4 hours? So let's just map this out. So we want to just go there. So again, we're in that green zone, so favors buyers. 4 hour. Where's our swing range? Massively in the discounted zone. Just remember, when we're in this zone, it means we're what are the best A-star setups? The best A-star setups is when we are in deep green, as close to deep green as possible on the daily. So really, you're approaching the bottom of the range, with all of the rest starting to align, right? So you've got your 4 hours. So really, like, if this 4 hour was down here, price starts to come down here. These are what you consider really high probable setups. Only if we are coming into a supply zone, right? So on the sell side, if it was to the opposite way, it would be a demand, right? So people would want to buy. Demand is supply is where people are buying. Demand is where people are selling. So again, so the tick in the boxes, yes, we are in discount on the daily. Yes, we are in super discount on the 4 hour. On the 2 hour, again, you can see that same thing there. All I'm doing is just taking my fib and just drawing where we are, and you can clearly see, at least on these lower time frames, it would be a really interesting opportunity to think about buying this. The only thing for me is just being mindful of the fact that, we are in a discounted zone on the daily, but clearly there's still an awful lot to go if the range wants to continue. Now, if you just take market structure, again, where are we going? What's that typical zone look like? It's lower lows, lower highs. So we can expect maybe some sort of a rotation. I don't know if you can clearly see this on my screen, but this area here is the low, which we've broken. Yeah, we broke the low with a few little peaks. It held. It's gone back down a little bit. It's broken below the previous day low at the moment, and then come back in. Clearly, one of the things is we are massively oversold on the 15-minute, and so it would be a fair assessment. At least, where would we target if we were going to long this now? Where would we look to target? At least the equilibrium, right? We'd at least want to see if we can come back to equilibrium. So on the 15-minute, if I was going to start getting into this, first, where's the supply? So we want to look left. All right, we want to just get things off my chart to cleanse it a little minute. Let's get rid of these. Right, where are the supply zones? I don't like VeChain's price action on the chart, specifically when you get into the smaller time frames. It's that like it just doesn't feel right nice on the eye. It's very wicky and tacky. Anyway, right, there's price right now. The bid and the ask. You could argue supply came in here with that wick, so potentially, if we go down to the 5-minute, just that price action is just obnoxious. Just swizzling across. Might run out of bars here, hopefully not. But you can see here, nice big deep sell, but then was taken up at this zone here, right? At this, so at least over 50% of the volume of this 5-minute candle was buys, more than, because you can see it's at least over halfway. So that's a really nice, at least on the shorter time frames, a nice supply zone, right? So let's go back to the 1 hour. I mean, we're below that right now. We've already passed that. What's the next supply zone? Doesn't look good, like. But you could argue that if you want to refine that a little bit, you can go into the shorter time frame to see when this wick starts to come back. But we are back in that supply zone, so we can expect it. This is all very much dependent on your bias. I mean, are you currently looking at long or short at the moment? If you don't mind answering that. Not sure if you're still there. Oh no, oh cool, okay. So yeah, I mean, just to recap, daily, we're in a demand zone, so we're a supply zone, right? So we're in a discounted area. All the lower time frames are also in a discounted area, so potentially it's a buy zone, right? This is an area where you can look for a quick move. Where would you take profit? If I was going to start looking at this, I mean, on the 1 hour, we've still got plenty to go, so you know, I would be favouring maybe coming down a bit deeper into the supply zone before I start thinking about longing. It is a strong low in comparison, but it's only the 1 hour time frame, and we've still got a bit of momentum to go. Let's see. Let's pick another one. Let's see what the screen is let's see what the screen is screaming. Waves is continuing to show signs of further dropping. So let's look at waves again. None of my, did it do an alert on waves? I don't think it did I? No, because we're kind of in that equilibrium place. Where's the supply zone? Where would you guys think a supply zone would be here? What do I mean by supply zone? And how can we find supply? Really what you're looking for is, where did we get a nice change of direction, right? That's the first thing. But where did it happen on volume? Pretty pointless if you see a rejection on low volume, because it just means that no one was interested in continuing to short at that area. What you want to see is big, strong volume where the buyers really stepped in. And so I look at waves here on this what are we on here? On the 1 hour. What about the 4 hour, just to see if we've got any better signs. So, you know, you'd argue this is kind of a supply zone. Here you can see price continue to move down, and then, you know, we got up, and also you'd argue that this is a supply zone. But the problem is, again, it's low volume. That's a 4 hour candle, but you can see the volume's really poor. It's not the biggest of volume. And so these are really where you need to just, when you're getting the screener printing signals, I just identify, spend a bit of time to think, like, look at this. This is the classic example, right? Low volume, then all of a sudden, boom, right out of the gate, huge big move to the upside. So when you're talking about supply zones, I mean, that's as crystal clear as it's going to get. Now you want to use this more as a range rather than a pivot. So pivot being, did it change its direction just because of one candle, or was it the sell-off? Now it was this little sell-off here, so we've seen this few candles, 4 hour candles selling off before we really move to the upside. And so that range is a really nice supply zone. Now, that's a big range, remember, it's on the 4 hour. But you know, if I was looking at anywhere to do a really nice long from, this would be the position. Now we're quite far away from that, so I'm not anticipating that anytime soon. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, am I day trading or am I swing trading? And that's obviously a good opportunity down there. And you know, on the 4 hour, let's be honest, I wouldn't really be thinking about longing anything. Looking to counter trend this while we've got so much momentum to push us back down, at least on the 4 hour. So waves is not one. Oh, sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I was on Discord again. What a tit. Anyway, sorry. Let me just go over that very quickly. So, you know, where we're thinking about supply zones, these are all supply zones, really. You know, you could argue anywhere where we've seen a number of wicks kind of coming into the play are showing that this is a pretty strong zone of support. Is it a supply zone? It has been in the past, but for me, I always like to see volume, right? And I look at volume here, and it's just non-existent. So it's not a strong, for me personally, it's not a strong idea that I think, you know, we're going to get a massive move to the upside or be able to capitalize on anything, simply because the volume just hasn't been there. It did come in here, start to see volumes tick in there. So it is certainly, for me, could be a supply zone, but you know, each time it's come down, it's done on low volume, but it's just responded back. So just be mindful. Okay, let's see, what else do we want to look at? I'm going to do one more, I think. This time I need to remember not to fall back in. Let's see. DYDX approaching S2. I'll show you the pivot in a second. MFI is at 15, so it's already low. But DOT again, DOT is still continue to move down. We've got an alert on DOT. Just want to wait for that alert to trigger, and then I'll be thinking about getting into a long position. Waves again, still. Let's tell you what. Let's just look at waves on a lower time frame a little minute. What's the 15-minute saying? Hugely overbought. Sorry, oversold. But for me, I just don't like the setup. I don't think I mean, you could argue that it's come from a little bit of a support area, because you could say, and all of this is relative, right? So where is the supply? It's there, isn't it? You know, what all we've done is we've looked at where the previous candle. This one doesn't have to be arranged, because you can see nice push down, which was a vector candle, which means what? It means the tick volume relative to the previous 10 or 20 candles was a lot more, over 200% more than the average of those. So tick volume means a lot of transactions, right? Rather than just one big player trying to short the market, it's usually lots of transactions. So you could definitely argue this would be a nice zone to long from, at least on a short time frame. And of course, it's exactly what happens, right? We come down into the supply zone, pivot, bang, price starts to move to the upside, coalesced with nice oversold area, deep oversold on the 15-minute. So that would have been a nice zone, right? I didn't see that because I was too focused on the higher time frames, but that is certainly a nice supply zone. Why? Well, confirmation of volume, tick in the box. Oversold, tick in the box. What are our other tick in the boxes? And I already know we're going to have this, by the way, anyway. Our other tick in the boxes are we at or approaching? Yeah, well, look, we've I know this is looking a bit messy. Let me just clean this up so it's not, so you know exactly what I'm looking at. So this is, get rid of that. These lines here are the pivot points, and you can see we've came down, tested and blew through the pivot point, which is the three little blue lines here, and so we're coming back into it. So this might be a zone that I might look to long from, right? Where's the best area to long from? As deep as you possibly can get into this zone, the better that outcome is going to be. Where would your stop be? Right underneath here. Trust me, if that fails, then you know it's no point getting into that trade anyway. You might as well get out quick and save yourself some pennies. Everything's about probabilistic terms, right? You're trying to get the best probable. I'm so sorry about this. I'm clearly an amateur at this YouTube and stuff, so I can only apologise yet again. Let me just rephrase where I am. Let me show you the number of tick boxes that I like. Number one, are we in a supply zone? Agreed. Tick in the box. Rejected at this candle, push to the upside, come back into the zone, push to the upside, and now we're coming back into that zone. So, confirmed. It's a supply zone, small time frame, okay? Number one. Number two, we've done it on high volume, which is nice. That's what we want to see. Supply zone confirmed. Tick box number 4, are we in or are we approached, or we by a pivot point? And there's the pivot point there. Tick in the box number 4. Tick in the box number 5, are we oversold? Well, yeah, massively oversold on the 15-minute, okay? Tick box number 5. What about tick box number 6? Are we outside of the value area range? Absolutely we are. Why? Well, the value area is this 70% range for the day, right? We have the value area low, we have the value area high, and we have the pivot point. Why is this valuable to be long and outside of the value area low? because the majority of time we always want to try to get back into where liquidity is bigger, right? Yesterday's point of control was here, and so that's also a nice confluence. So I'm actually going to start longing. It's give me enough ticks in the box, right? I'm just waves. I'm doing this on MEXC on my phone, right? I like it. 2% trade. I'm not going crazy because I might want to look to. So opens along market order. There you go. Fuck off. Done it on isolated. Sorry, let me just change that. Pardon my French. Cross margin 200x. Doing it on position size 2%. Open along. Okay, I'm in a trade. So I've opened along on waves only because a lot's in our favor, right? We're outside of the value range. So for me is perceived as value. Where am I going to put another 2% in if we come down to the midway point? And I'll do another final 2% here. My stop will be just below this previous supply zone here, okay, which is 1.8665. So stop loss 1.8665. Not bad. 1.8665. Okay, done. Right, so it's as simple as that. You know, you wait and you look for these areas on the chart that, you know, let's go on the just to double check one more quick thing. You know, how many standard deviations we have from the 50 SMA. Where would I look to take profit on this? We don't need to be greedy, right? So we're already in the equilibrium on the 15 minutes, so we're at that equilibrium. Where would we look to take profit? Potentially, you've got a number of zones, right? You've got the 200 EMA here, we've got the 800 EMA here, we've got the 50 EMA here, we've got the previous day high, and then we've got the strong high. Now, I probably wouldn't target the strong high, if I'm honest, because it's too far up into the ether, so probably wouldn't look at that one. But you can kind of now, I mean, I've got my stop loss set. It wouldn't be a killer if it got hit. I am going to start loading into this if we come down a bit further. You got to remember what you've got on your side, right? You've got momentum is crazily outside of, you know, it's obviously exhausted. We're already at a pivot, right? We blasted through. Let me just double check my pivot again. So we want what do I want to see? I'd like us to see is reclaim the pivot high as a start. Maybe look at the value area low as a take profit. But you know, we see. Now look, here's the thing, right? Whenever you're setting up trades, the most important thing you've got to think to yourself is mechanically, did all of my checkboxes get checked? You know, number one, did we trade in the middle of nowhere? Was it no man's land? Absolutely not. We looked at a number of key factors. Are we oversold? Are we at a pivot? Are we below the feasible value area range? Are we entering a supply zone that's previously reacted and, you know, acted as a buy zone? Well, yeah, all of those things have been ticked. And so that's really all, you know, if you've ticked all of your tick boxes and it still fails, you should never beat yourself up over the head for doing some sound TA that didn't work. It happens. Do you know what I mean? It always happens. But if I look at my risk to reward, you know, my stop is just around 65. You know, my where was my, oh sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing, my bad. Risk to reward is, I got in, I think where was it? Currently in a slight drawdown of 2.62%, so what was that? 1.8865. 1.865. So that was my entry. My stops here. Even if I only target the low, it's over at least a 1-to-1. Now it's always going to be relative to your account size, but you know, go on the 30 minutes. Still got room to go, which is why on the shorter time frames you don't want to get greedy, right? This is why it's important that if you're day trading, you don't need to be greedy. You just look at what's a feasible range. You know, even on like, if I look at this. As a retracement, you know, even if I come to the golden pocket up to here, which is past that's a fair retracement and then a continuation to the downside. So you don't need to be greedy when you're doing day trades. Have a plan, know where you want to get in, know where you want to get out, and so that's my trade anyway. I will look to get in a little bit more if price wants to come down again around at 1.88. Anyone got any more requests? But this is a really, it's a solid way to trade, right? You know, I think understanding market structure is probably the single most critical thing that you need to first understand. Then on that market structure, where are your discount versus your premium zones? Like, where are people more likely to buy and where are people more likely to sell? Okay, when you're approaching these different time frames, because that's key. And then thirdly, when we're in these zones that you maybe want to buy, where does previous buyers step into the market with supply? You know, when was people keen to buy? If it's the opposite, where were people keen to sell? Don't have to overcomplicate these things. You know, you've got volume on your side, so where did volume step into the market? Was that volume precipitated with a vector candle? They're important because you know that means a lot of transactions took place at that time, you know, across that 15-minute candle or whatever it would be. So that's key. So I'm just anticipating when price comes down to here, 1.8. I'll just do this as a limit order. Oh, don't want to do that. But you can see the a little bit of exhaustion starting to occur now. What you can see, it gets a bit wicky. You see these price rejections. Why? Number one, we're at equilibrium, so it's at bang value. So value between buyers and sellers is equal at this stage on that 15-minute swing. No worries, my friend. I have to kind of go soon too, unfortunately. Please feel free, by the way, to join the Discord server. If anyone's watching here, the link should be in the description. Always welcome some new friendly faces who want to get better. Putting this order in. Stop loss is the same, which is 1.8740. Okay. 1.8865. Okay, done. So now we wait. But I'm not going to bore you guys anyway. So right now, I'm waiting on a number of alerts to trigger. I think we should see some push to the upside soon. Just because, you know, we've had a nice correction, but in that discount zone, and so we anticipate price. We can expect the price to move up. Okay. Hopefully second order just gets filled. Only get 100x on this one. Okay. Maybe come down a bit more. Damn. You can see volume's low. So it's doing this off very little response from buyers at the minute. Just missed my second order. Damn. Right, anyway, I'm gonna go. Hope you had a good time. Speak to you soon. Have a lovely day. Bye.